When it comes to the fight between the PGA Tour and LIV Golf, Jon Rahm and Rory McIlroy are on the same side. Rory McIlroy, who is #1 in the world, said that Greg Norman has to go if the PGA Tour and LIV Golf are ever going to talk and end their nasty fight. Phil Mickelson also has a knack for making enemies. This and more in the video for today. Starting us off, Jon Rahm criticizes PGA Tour's LIV response. Jon and Rory have both stayed dedicated to the PGA Tour. That doesn't mean Rahm and McIlroy have always agreed on how things should be, especially since Rahm isn't sure he wants to play 20 times on the PGA Tour every year. McIlroy hasn't really criticized the PGA Tour's actions in its fight against LIV Golf, but Rahm didn't hold back on Wednesday. Rahm told the media before the DP World Tour Championships in Dubai, "I'm not going to lie and say I agree with everything that the PGA Tour has done. Not meeting with LIV was a mistake and a missed chance. Both sides were wrong about that, and that was the start of a lot of the bad feelings." In the past few weeks, McIlroy has been slowly getting closer to suggesting a peace deal between the two groups. On Tuesday, he said again that there could be peace between the two, and Rahm agreed with him. Both sides also agree on the reason why there haven't been any talks. CEO of LIV, Greg Norman. Rahm said, "I think Greg has been mad at the PGA Tour for a long time, and when you have a hidden goal, it can make it hard to see things clearly. Greg is a good player, not a good businessman, even though he's done well in business. I think he's up to something more than just making a golf tour. He's been angry about this for 30 years. That vengeance stems from Norman's failed attempt in the 1990s to start a world golf tour. Arnold Palmer and other PGA Tour players were against the idea, and even though Fox Sports gave the tour a deal for media rights, the tour never got off the ground." McIlroy said on Tuesday that Norman should exit stage left, and Rahm said that Norman is not the best person for the job. There are now rumors that former TaylorMade executive Mark King will replace Norman as CEO of LIV Golf. Rahm said, "His motives might not be as good as they could be, which is a problem. So even though he has done great things for the tour, he might not be the best person for the job. I do think that Greg might need to leave in order for people to talk. Right now, it doesn't look like he and Jay Monahan, the head of the PGA Tour, will want to be in the same room. Even if they didn't agree, they should have talked. So we might need to get rid of one or both of them to find a solution. I'm not sure." Jay has been very helpful to the PGA Tour. Next up, Rory's blunt assessment for peace, as Norman claims PGA should thank LIV. When asked in Dubai on Wednesday if the two sides could make peace, the four-time major winner said, "I think there are a few things that need to happen. It's clear that there are two lawsuits going on at the moment. The PGA Tour plays against LIV Golf, and the DP World Tour will play against LIV Golf in February. If these two things keep happening, nothing will change. I'd like to see a few things happen on the LIV side no matter what happens with those cases. I think Greg should leave. I think he should just leave the stage. He's made a name for himself, but I think now is a good time to say, look, you've gotten this going, but no one will talk unless there's an adult in the room who can try to make peace. Things can change if these two things happen." The Northern Irishman has been very vocal about his dislike of LIV Golf, and he's poked fun at Norman on more than one occasion. And McIlroy's comments came just a few days after Norman said that every PGA Tour player should be thanking LIV for forcing the PGA Tour to make major changes. Every PGA Tour player, like Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, should thank LIV. Without LIV, prize money wouldn't have gone up. Because of LIV, the PGA Tour has added all these other things that aren't as important. McIlroy was talking before the $10 million DP World Tour Championship, which is the European Tour's season-ending championship, and where he hopes to win the Race to Dubai title and do a double on both sides of the Atlantic. He's already cashed the check for $18 million for winning the FedEx Cup. McIlroy's best record is on the Earth course at Jumeirah Golf Estates, which he loves. In his 11 races, he's won twice, in 2012 and 2015, and has always finished in the top 20. In 44 rounds, he shot a 64, a 65 4 times, and a 66 7 times on the par 72 course. I think a golf course like this plays right to my strengths. So I usually do well on par 72 golf courses because they have 4 par 5 holes, which I can play well because I'm tall. Moving on, the explosive Mickelson feud ready to set off a firestorm. When he left the PGA Tour to sign a rumored $200 million deal with Greg Norman's LIV Tour, the American golfer became a pariah. This is true even though he called the Saudi government, which paid for the Rebel Tour, a scary mother. Now that the secret is out, the feud with fellow LIV Golf star Pat Perez is a bomb. Perez said how he really felt about the 52-year-old on Claude Harmon's Son of a Butch podcast. "I hate Phil in a different way than most people do," Perez told Harmon about Phil. "No one will know the story because I won't tell it again, but Phil crossed a line with me that can't be crossed and can't be forgiven. He knows he did something wrong. He said he was sorry for what he did, but since I've known Phil for so long, I can't forgive him. I've known him for a long time, and the fact that he knew what he was doing was going to happen before he did it hurt me. Alan Shipnuck, who wrote the controversial Mickelson biography, answered some questions from readers this month about the incident. What's up with Pat Perez and Phil? I once read in a mystery book that all crimes are either about or money. My bet is that Shipnuck said he knew about the accusations, but they were too explosive for him to talk about until he talked to Perez. Well, it doesn't come down to money. As I was writing my book about Mickelson, I kept hearing about his fight with Perez, who's also from San Diego. They've been around for a long time. Perez has also thought of himself as a Tiger guy, which means that he has never been nice to Phil. But Mickelson did something that really upset Perez and his wife Ashley, which led Perez to rant on several podcasts recently. Finally, Cam Smith begs majors not to lock LIV defectors out of golf's biggest stages. Cameron Smith, an Australian golfer, has asked the PGA Tour and the majors to let players who have switched to the Saudi-backed LIV Golf play in their tournaments. Smith won the Open last year, so he can play in all 4 majors for the next 5 years. Other people who have joined the controversial rival tour don't know what will happen to them. Even though the PGA Tour has banned golfers who have played in a LIV tournament for life, and the DP World Tour is in court over players on their circuit, it's not clear what the Masters, US PGA Championship, and US Open will do. The question of ranking points is also up in the air. Smith is currently world number 3, but he's likely to fall because LIV's 54-hole no-cut events don't count for the world ranking system. Players like Dustin Johnson have dropped down the list because of this problem. Smith asked for things to calm down before he went back to Australia for the Australian PGA Tournament, which he can play in because of the DP World Tour court case. Smith told the 9 Papers, "I think the majors really need to rise above all the politics. If they want the best product and the best players in the world to compete against each other, they need to let us play. We have no reason to think we shouldn't play besides going on another tour. We can definitely play well enough. Those should be ours." Smith's LIV Golf said on Monday that its first event in Australia would be held at the Grange Golf Club in Adelaide in April 2023. Smith said, "I think on both sides of the board there were a few things, especially at the beginning, that they could have said differently." Well, that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, cheers!